What I'd like to go over now is blockchain trends for 2023. So what I'd like to do is kind of go through those and kind of give you my take on those trends, first of all, and see where they go. The first author was Ahmed Banafa at OpenMind. His first trend, he said, was we're going to be moving into blockchain 4.0. Now, this is a really, really good page simply because, blockchain 1 is basically when Bitcoin came out and it was just all about cryptocurrencies, okay? And then Ethereum and blockchain 2 was born. All of a sudden they realized blockchain could be used for more than just exchanging coin between two people who wanted to pay one another. Okay, so we've got blockchain 2 then, and now then we go a little bit further and we've got blockchain 3, which was when the distributed applications came into being. And really we're kind of in the middle of that distributed application angst and challenges right now with all of the distributed finance that's getting robbed of funds and bad smart contracts being written that left holes in it for people that steal money, all kinds of challenges with the distributed applications, trying to make those public but not having them well enough distributed so they become vulnerable, all kinds of issues with those where we saw quite a bit of money stolen last year. We've talked about that in previous topics. Well, soon we're going to turn the corner and we're going to get into this blockchain 4 era. Now, the blockchain 4 era is going to be a lot of different things. And what Banafa starts with is the Web 3.0 interface. In other words, the blockchain being able to drive the data back into web pages and allow those web pages to be more dynamic, running smart contracts as well. And then he talks about the metaverse, which is, a reality that's not a reality, so we'll move on. So Web 3.0 is an autonomous, open, intelligent internet, rely on decentralized protocols, which blockchain, of course, can provide. So there's a lot of people that have a lot of hope for Web 3.0. I'm not seeing a whole lot of development in that direction, to be frank. Although there's a lot of people that still want to keep hanging their hat on this idea that we're going to have a blockchain-driven web and it's going to be revolutionary and it's going to take us beyond this Web 2.0 era that we've been in, where we could now post videos and do social media and all of those type of things. So we'll see what it has to offer. I think only all it's going to do is it's going to be an invisible add-on to the back end that's going to possibly automate and possibly give more value to the things we already do. So it'll be pretty much invisible to users. So I don't know how much benefit that's really going to be. But let's move on. The metaverse, okay? This wonderful place that is virtual reality. If anybody watched Ready Player One, they're talking basically about that kind of an immersive environment where you could get into it and be part of that environment, play in it, and basically have an avatar that has a totally different life than you have. Whether that'll happen or not, don't know. Whether the technology is going to get strong enough for people on the individual level like you and me to be able to, now, one, afford it, and two, have it so that it's enjoyable without having to have a massive headset with a screen attached to your eyes. It's got to come a very long way in order to get here. So it's a neat concept, neat idea, and we'll see if it goes anywhere. Right now, I'm not excited at all about the quote-unquote metaverse games that are out there. For one, they're expensive to get into, and two, they just don't have much to offer. Go ahead.
Yeah, anybody who's been in a business meeting lately, most of the time people just stay on voice if they aren't muted. Very few people who get on video unless you're required to or unless you're the speaker. So we don't use the next level of communication unless we kind of need it. So to me, the idea of the metaverse, the being in the virtual reality space, yeah, there's a lot of fun things you can do there, but most of the time when you're in a meeting with your coworkers, whatever else, you don't need to see an avatar. You don't need to see the video. Hearing the voice is enough for the communication. And really, it feels like a solution begging for a problem to solve. It feels more niche than the rest of the applications we've seen before.
Yeah, exactly. So I think as we go through the rest of his list, the other 8 get to be a little bit more viable. And so we'll just look at the rest of his list. It talks about stablecoins. Now, there is an awful lot of upstream, fighting upstream with stablecoins. I mean, stablecoins have really, really gotten the attention of regulators. Number one, stablecoins compete with what they want to do for central bank digital currencies. And they don't like it. Number one, the international concerns that are talking about central bank digital currencies and other ways to make money flow across borders are dead set against having stablecoins compete with the CBDCs. And they're looking for ways that they could cohabitate, but I don't think they're really all that serious about allowing stablecoins at the same time as CBDCs. So we'll see. The next thing he notes is social networking, which is one of those metaverse, one of those Web3 actually items that really would benefit social networking in the respect that once you write it to the blockchain, nobody could erase it. In other words, this idea of getting canceled by Twitter or YouTube or Facebook is supposed to be a thing of the past, a lot like Bitcoin was supposed to become the currency above fiat currencies. We'll see. We'll see if that does it. Interoperability between blockchain networks, he says, is something that would happen in 2023. Right now, they call them bridges that go between two networks, and bridges have been incredibly vulnerable to hacks and theft of cryptocurrencies. So we'll see. Finance will adopt blockchain. And yes, we've seen Chase Bank investigating, and several other of the large banks actually beginning to adopt blockchain networks and moving fiat currency through crypto to its location, where it can then be that currency could be exchanged at the location that you've sent it to. So yes, finance is adopting blockchain in, basically dipping their big toe in a little bit at a time. The Open Mind article said that government will start adopting blockchain. And of course, last week we saw how California DMV was going to implement a blockchain. So we're beginning to see that. Now, coming up, you're going to start seeing Internet of Things being attached to a blockchain. Blockchain makes things move a lot faster than regular centralized databases. When a node can be part of a car, for example, and that IoT is communicating that regular car's data to a traffic blockchain, let's say, what ends up being the case is, since it has the data, it can refer to its own data, and it's getting constant updates from other drivers in the area where it can call through and get pertinent data. Now, one thing that's going to help that a lot is getting solid deployment of 5th generation cell phone towers in locations. IoT in a blockchain for auto driving and various other aspects really won't work until you've got good, robust communications. And so 5G is going to nearly be a necessity in order to get IoT to work with that. And then, of course, you're going to embed AI into the blockchain. You're going to embed AI into the smart contracts. And the AI will begin to be able to make decisions based on input from the smart contract. It's not going to be totally an if-then constantly. It's going to be get input, act on input, move to do the next task and next process, okay? And then the Open Mind last on the end of that list says there's going to be a high demand for experts, basically programmers, to build blockchain networks for business and blockchain networks that will benefit regular folks like you and me, that we can join them, okay? Now, This is the list that came out first, okay? This is the list that Ahmed Banafa at Open Mind put together. So what's interesting is the other article was seemingly on a different page, like she was on a different planet, because she says that the things that are going to come about this next year are going to be a focus on value chains. In other words, her focus was more on, well, how is it going to benefit business? Okay, so value chains really are supply chains on communication, transfer of finances and money, and that entire value chain aspect of business and information flows. She said it would allow better international trade, decentralized finance and banking, which we saw in the other list, crypto and online payments. We see a little bit of that being embedded in PayPal and Visa. We talked a couple weeks ago. She sees more of that happening and it becoming more prevalent in the public domain, and more adoption by enterprises. Yeah, that's what this whole class is about. And more blockchain-based applications out in the public domain. And I would agree with pretty much everything. But what's really, really interesting is that this list is so much different than the things on this list. So you've got two different perspectives and a lot of good possibilities for things coming up in 2023.